All right, everybody, welcome back to the bench. Today we're going to talk about the 13.9 BRN-180. Again, huge thanks to Brownells for sending this out to the channel for review. I did not pay for this upper receiver. They did end up sending it out for review. I also did not pay for the Optic. They sent that out as well. So that is the Aimpoint Duty RDS. All right, so when it comes to the BRN-180, I'm a huge fan of the BRN-180. I loved the 16-inch BRN-180 that I have. I have it in OD green. It is one of the limited editions that Brownells put out. It was a fantastic upper receiver. Thought it was great. I told them from day one it should either be in 14.5 or 13.9. To be honest, I love 13.9 just a little bit more than I love 14.5, so I went ahead and I went with the 13.9. Brownells, again, did send this out to the channel for review, so I can't thank them enough for that. Now, let's go over the specs just a little bit. It is a semi-pencil, semi-not pencil profile barrel. I'm going to go ahead and just state for the claims of this video, it's pretty much a pencil profile barrel. It's very thin, it's very lightweight. It's a 1-in-8 twist, uses some sort of length system, gas length system. I don't know what it is, but it is a short stroke gas piston system. Now, when it comes to the short stroke gas piston system, that means that there is a piston rod in here, and it gathers gas, it shoots it back, and then it hits a little tappet in the front of the bolt right there. As you can see on the carrier there, it hits a little tappet right in there, and then that's what sends the bolt back, and it operates and floats kind of on these two rods with these two springs, and it's very nice. It sits in there. I've seen absolutely, I would say no issues other than kind of what it required to kind of like break in the gun, I guess. I haven't seen any real issues with it, but I have had some hiccups along the way. Now, it is kind of ammo sensitive. I will show you guys the accuracy testing here in just a little bit. And it has, I would say, a drawback in it just being like a very open design towards the back. But to be honest, it is one of my favorite guns to shoot. I absolutely love shooting this gun. I love shooting guns in 13.9. For a while, I don't know if you guys know this, but I had a 3-port muzzle brake on here to reach the overall length of 13.9 to 16 inches. So to go from 13.9 to 16 inches, it requires you to pin and weld your muzzle device on there. I was running this. It was brutal. I did not like the muzzle brake. I don't like muzzle brakes in general, but I understand, go get a 5-inch AR, slap a 3-port muzzle brake on there, go take it to your local indoor range and piss off everybody. Totally fun to do, understand. But I already have enough tinnitus and enough hearing damage, just ask the VA. So I decided to go with a 3-prong muzzle device. Griffin Armament has a few over there. Go head on over there. Now, I didn't pay full price. I have industry with Griffin. But if you're out there, they're relatively inexpensive. They're cheaper than the Dead Airs, and I think you can even get the hub adapters for your suppressors. Understanding your muzzle device is kind of dependent on what suppressor you're using. That's totally fine. What I will state is the 13.9 to me is probably one of the perfect rifle length type of setups. I absolutely love the BRN-180. I love the piston system. It cuts down on gas to my face. It cuts down on a bunch of crud just getting into the gun. I find that I can shoot a little bit more with the BRN-180. The only real drawbacks are how Brownells has this set up. So I'm gonna bring this in up close. I'm gonna kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so on our close-up inspection here, as you guys can see, we do have a pencil profiles type barrel. I would say it's kind of like a taper profile because it goes really thick up here, and then it goes down a little bit, and then it goes towards there. But a lot of people have a tendency to just call these a pencil profile barrel. It is what it is. As we can see, the gas block is pinned into place. I don't think there's a set screw on the bottom, which is totally fine. And then we have our gas piston system that goes into here, which has 2 settings, suppressed and unsuppressed. You can't shut off the gas on this. The BRN-180 SH, you can shut the gas off, but this is a 13.9 and 5.56. That one is in 300 blackout. You can do a little bit more different stuff with that. What I will tell you is the BRN-180 13.9 has given me a couple of issues. One, I've had issues with it getting stuck. I've had a couple malfunctions there. Lubricating up here on the gas block and doing some stuff like that has a tendency to solve that issue completely. I've only had that happen a couple of times, and it's after I've let the rifle kind of sit for quite a while. Not like leaving it for months on end, but a few weeks in the safe without adding some lubricant or some oil or maybe even some CLP has definitely made it to where that this whole upper receiver will kind of lock up, especially when it comes to the piston system. I don't know if that's a drawback with other piston systems, but this is what I've had to deal with, and it's honestly, it's not a problem. I just throw some lube in there. It's been fine. Work it around a little bit. Rack it a few times if you can. What I've done in the past is I've moved it from suppressed to unsuppressed, and then if I have it apart like I do now, I kind of grab this and I pull this back and I add a little lubricant in there. Not an issue, but I do prefer exactly how it is. So let's get it back together and I'll show you guys how I kind of have it set up, and then we'll talk about the accuracy. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how I've been running this gun so far and what's made me like it and what are the pros and cons of running it the way that I run it. Now, we have the 3-prong flash hider. I haven't shot with that yet. I'm going to be shooting with it probably the next few weekends coming up here. I'm definitely going to shoot with that flash hider. Hopefully get my can out of jail at some point to have some fun with it. But I do like it so far. I like three-prong flash hiders. I think not only do they look cool, but they just, some of them, they're really good. They don't ping very much, unlike the Surefire 4-prong and War Comp and all that. Like these ones, they have a tendency not to be so pingy. I am running it with a Malkoff E2XT-L head and an 18650 light with a Surefire clicky tail cap on an Arasaka 45-degree offset mount. That's not bad. The handguard is all M-LOK. It is proprietary to Brownells. I have actually seen a company on Reddit offering handguard upgrades. Like you can attach a handguard to the existing mount that goes in. Now I have tried to take off the handguard, like undoing the screws over here, undoing these screws. I have not been able to get that off successfully. In fact, I did scratch up my upper just a little bit trying to get it out, and I just decided, you know what, I'm not even going to mess with it anymore. I put it all back together, and ever since then I've completely forgot about it until right now. I am running a Lunar Concepts Hot Pocket. I did burn the ever-loving crap out of my hand on this before, and I got tired of it. I found the Lunar Concepts Hot Pocket. I think it's about $50 on Wiseman Company's website. Somebody did ask about that hand wrap before. It's through Wiseman Company. You do have to buy it through them. I don't think Lunar Concepts sells it on their own, or if they do, it is like ridiculously expensive from what I've been told. So there is that. I am running a BCM QD adapter just to put on there because this gun does not come with any QDs. I'm not going to lie, I do not like it when guns come with QDs. Midwest Industries, please take a hint. Stop putting QD on everything. I'd rather just buy the QD mount and have it in there than have to adapt to a rail that's kind of not up to my standard. So thank you for all the M-LOK that they have put on here. Now, not all the slots are M-LOK. So these bottom slots right here, these not 45-degree angled, these are not M-LOK. The bottom is M-LOK, the side is M-LOK, up here is M-LOK, but just not these two parts right here. Nobody uses those anyway, and if you do, I think you're a little bit weird. But yeah, other than that's it. Now, I have actually been through that Unity foregrip right there, that Unity vertical foregrip. I did break one of them. Turns out it wasn't melting or doing anything like that. I pushed the screws in a little bit too hard, and that just is what it is. I pushed those in, ended up causing the failure. The cool part about the Unities is it actually has 3 different points of contact that you can put M-LOK areas in to make it attached to rails. It's really good. I really like it. To be honest, I might go with a different M-LOK adapter in the future. I'm sorry, not M-LOK adapter. I might go with a different foregrip in the future. Not that I hate this one. It's just I play with it. I like it. I like it on certain things. I'm not 100% sure. It just doesn't aesthetically look like it's supposed to be on the 13.9 for the most part. I like it. It feels good, but I don't know. Like something looks a little off with it, and that is what it is. I haven't done any upgrades to the gun. I know there's a bunch of stuff that we can do. I have on my other 13.9 or on my other BRN-180, it's a 16-inch. I did upgrade all the springs in the bolt. Those were they weren't having any issues, but I wanted to test it out, and well, let's just say I didn't notice any difference because it's a piston gun and it's not a DI gun. I might go ahead and upgrade the springs in this one, but I haven't seen any issue yet, nor have I seen any degradation. I think we got about 1,000 or maybe 1,500 rounds on this gun so far. Now I am running the Duty RDS, which is like a smaller, more compact version of the patrol rifle optic. To be honest, I'd prefer the patrol rifle optic over this. I feel like the patrol rifle optic gives you a lot more. Yes, it's bigger, but you also have a bigger window, which A lot of people always complain about field of view. I've never felt any, there's no field of view problem with this Optic. I just don't like the way it looks. It kind of looks a little funky. Maybe not my cup of tea. I might actually send this back to Brownells and get a patrol rifle Optic. Or if somebody wants to swap, let me know. We'll figure that one out. But it's a pretty decent little optic. I like it a lot. It has a very crisp red dot. It does what it's supposed to do. This is just a fast, lightweight piston gun that I really enjoy shooting. Now, one of the upgrades I do want to get for this gun, Brownells has this little BRN-180 charging handle here. There's a company, I think K&S Precision, they make a folding charging handle. I do want to try that upgrade on this gun. I think that would be a good upgrade for this gun. But in the meantime, I have not wanted to spend the $50 to get it. Yes, it's inexpensive. Yes, it doesn't cost a whole lot, but it is what it is. All right, so let's hop into accuracy. I do have this giant target I'm going to show you guys. I didn't want to go ahead and cut it all up, so we're going to talk about accuracy. Now, there is two really large groups when it comes to this gun. This gun is very ammo sensitive, and it just doesn't like it. So let's go ahead. We're going to talk about the groups, and I have two separate groups. I have groups that I have shot at 100 yards, outdoors, suppressed, and then I think the other group is also suppressed. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, the groups are really good. I shot them on 2 different days, a couple different loads. I tried everything. Yeah, these are also at 100 yards, so you guys are actually happy and you don't have to be upset anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on my calipers and I'm going to measure these groups here. So I'm sorry I won't do everything on camera. I'm going to show you guys here in just a second. All right, so farthest to farthest here, we are looking at 1.17 inches. All right, now this PSA ammo this gun just did not like it. I've tried it in other things and it grouped kind of big, but it grouped huge on here. This is the 70 grain TSX 556 from PSA. I don't see necessarily an issue with the ammo other than these groups are massive. So I shot the first one here on the right hand side. If you're looking at the right one, I shot that one. That was suppressed. I ended up finding out that that wasn't good. These are 10 round groups at 100 yards with a 4-16 power scope, laying prone with a bipod while shooting suppressed. This first group here was suppressed. Ended up thinking that we had a baffle strike on my buddy's can, Dead Air Sandman K. Ended up thinking we had some sort of baffle strike and a problem, and then we ended up shooting it unsuppressed, and that group tightened up just a little bit, and then we put the can back on and we shot some other groups, and we'll talk about that. But I'm going to measure this group here real quick, and I'll let you guys know. So I know you guys can probably barely see that, but that is a 6.1 inch group. So that's a very large group at 100 yards. This is just a big group, and let's just say that wasn't okay. So let's go ahead. I'll show you the other group real quick. All right, so that is a 4.1 inch group there. That's a big group also, but that was unsuppressed. All right, so after those two ginormous groups, we went over here and we went to the PSA Saber 55 grain, which I'm going to go ahead and say is probably the best group of the day. And we had a 1.49 inch group here, like just a really good group. Head on over to the Barnes. The Barnes 69 grain Barnes wasn't too bad. This was a very good group. 2.41 inches. And then the PMC Bronze. This stuff wasn't terrible either. Let's go ahead. Let's look at that group right there. We're looking at like 1.93 inches for a 10 round group. All right, so I had some really old Frontier 75 grain boat-tail hollow point that was just kind of sitting on my shelf, and I haven't used it in forever. So let's take a look at this group real quick. Let's see what we got here. All right, so 2.31. Yeah, so 2.31 inches for a 10 round group. That last one really strung it out because they were all being very consistent in this square, these 4 squares here. And then it just had to go all the way out there. And I don't know why it did that. But yeah, 10 round groups at 100 yards, same 4-16 power scope, unsuppressed. It was brutal. I remember it. I also had some 68 grain boat tail hollow points hanging out as well. These performed even worse than those 75 grain ones. 2.39 inches for that group. Again, you know, it's like it looks like it groups and it throws one flyer, and I believe that was also my last shot. So there we go. Saber 55 grain stuff. Not a bad one. This one had a lot of horizontal stringing on it. So let's go ahead. Let's look at this guy real quick. That was a 2.18 inch group. And then I did another thing of 55 grain PMC here. So let's take a look at that. Let's find our widest group here. So about 1.5 inches for the PMC. And then just because I'm a glutton for spending money, I did another group of that 73 grain Burger gold medal match. So 73 grain Burger gold medal match. That happens to be a 1.42 inch group. So that's not a terrible group. And honestly, I think that 73 grain stuff, it just performs really well in a lot of different stuff. If you guys are ever curious, it is this load. It is the gold medal match, or it's a gold medal Burger open tip match, 73 grain. This stuff has always, and like everything I put it in, has performed really well. I still need to do some accuracy testing on my 11.5 inch Colt, and I'm going to use this to do like a baseline, and then some of this 69 grain Sierra gold medal match. These guys both are just phenomenal rounds. If you're out there, both of them are in the Federal Premium lineup. One is a Burger bullet, one is a Sierra bullet, but they both perform exceedingly well. Again, I did not shoot the 69 grain Sierras, but I did shoot some 69 grain Burgers that I had, and those also perform relatively closely to the Sierra Match Kings in most of my guns. So there you go. All right, so my final thoughts on this. With the few hiccups that I had, whether they be ammo related or piston related or whatever, they weren't frequent. They weren't frequent enough. I had a couple of them really short in a time span where I then was able to lubricate it or do something like that, and the gun just worked. Now, this is not like a go-to-war gun for me. Like, if all hell broke loose tomorrow and we were going to have our, SHTFs type situation, this probably is not the gun that I'm going to be bringing. There are a couple downsides to this gun. So one of the big downsides in the BRN-180 family is this open design here. The AR-180 had the same problem when you have your bolt and charging handle in here, even when they are pushed all the way to the front. You have this massive space back here that just ends up causing a ton of, like, you can get dirt and debris in there. It can get into your fire control group on your lower receiver, and it can do all sorts of just not good things. It does come with a dust cover as long as you don't get the sport version. I don't recommend that version. My buddy Adam had that, and he didn't like it quite as much as he would have liked probably just this standard 13.9 inch one, which, to be honest, one of my favorites. I love 13.9 and 14.5. They're just my favorite. Now, I can't say everything is good about this gun. It is a piston system with a very open design. It's not nearly as reliable as I think an AR-15 would be. But as I said, this gun has been reliable. It shoots a lot. It does have an excessive heat and carbon problem up at the handguard. I'm just going to go ahead and say PWS. I think you are going to have to figure out a way to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. I mean, just to be honest, it is quite brutal and burning, especially when your hands are up there and you're shooting long strings of fire or anything like that. It will end up kind of beating the crap out of you, especially in your hands. It will burn you. It will melt your gloves, especially if you're not wearing like leather or some sort of like fire retardant gloves. These will burn those gloves and you will have an issue. I've had that issue and it does kind of suck. Other than that, this is an extremely lightweight rifle. I do have the weight in here. I will put the weight in right now. It's extremely lightweight. For a 13.9 upper receiver that is piston operated, it balances extremely well. It's not too front heavy. It's not overly heavy over the barrel. It's reasonably accurate for a 13.9 system, and I cannot fault it for being as good as it is with having its downsides. Of course, it's going to have its downsides. The AR-180 had its downsides. That was a 16-inch barrel design and all the other fun stuff. This is a shortened, modernized kind of deal. I will say PWS and Brownells and Foxtrot Mike did hit it out of the park with this design. If you have any more questions, post them down below. I'm going to have links to my podcast. You guys can go hear me and a bunch of my friends talk about down below also. Again, huge shout out to Brownells. If you do end up trying to buy one of these, I believe when I release this video this week, there should still be a few days left for you to use code AR15. By all means, go ahead and use that. Pick up some of these cool things. It's fantastic. It works. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Thank you very much to Brownells for sending that out. For the accuracy testing portion, I was just, as I said, I was using this 4-16 primary arms. Midwest Industries did end up sending out the rings for this, the QD rings. So thank you to them. I guess the scope base, I guess what you could call it. They did end up sending this out, especially for review. I will have a review on this at some point in time when I get a better scope on these rings. But for now, this is what they're living on, and it's a fantastic mount. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and I really like it. It's cutie, and it works. So thank you to them. Thank you for sending that out for review. All right, I've got nothing else on the BRN-180. If you guys have any questions, again, send them on down. My podcast links and everything will be down there. If you click on my podcast links and you go listen to my podcast and you don't want to listen to the podcast, but you want real deals and stuff that you guys can see about all this stuff right here, check out my podcast. I have all the links of stuff that you guys can find here there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you, as always, everybody. I love you. Be a hoodlum.
And it's right there.
Should be.
Yeah, that one fell down.
Damn.